Alright, hello, how's it going? So today I'm just going to walk you through my editing process. I'm working on a project at the moment, so I thought why not kind of share a bit of what I've learnt in Premiere over the last couple of years and just my workflow and that general kind of thing, because I think it's helpful. I love watching other people and to see how they edit, so I thought I'd just open up my project and record. So this project is just a video I'm putting together of just a boys trip we did out on the Great Barrier Reef. Last year I've started just making my selects just through here. I'm about 20% done, I'd say, but I figured I might as well record and just walk everyone through it as I go. So the kind of general process I've developed is I've set up a bunch of custom hotkeys that just kind of increase productivity basically and make me a lot quicker when I'm editing. I work professionally as an editor, so it just saves me a lot of time in the long run, setting up all the shortcuts and everything like that. So let's get started. So here, just in my project panel, I'm opening up clips, playing them here, and just selecting with in and out whether I see something good or something that I think would potentially make the final edit. So the way I start is in general, I cast like a very broad net of anything I want in the video. So my selects, which is this sequence down here, you can tell it's already 4.5 minutes long, so it's obviously much longer than the video is going to be. I'm going to aim for like a 3 or 4 minute video, but I like to keep my selects really broad and then basically just cut down from there, because I find that way I can always, when I come back to look for footage, I can always just come back to my select sequence and see what I've got here, rather than having to go back through the project, which is just a lot slower process by going up here and double clicking on each one and scrubbing through and trying to remember which the where the good footage was. So this way I can watch through a clip, see all the bits that are good, so that might be a good bit there, pop that down, and now I've got that there, and I don't have to worry about the stuff I don't want in it, like his arms up in the air or anything like that, and I've just kind of got the bit I want. So from here I'm just going to keep working forward and just kind of bring you with me, talk you through what I'm doing, the different shortcuts I'm using, and just basically my workflow in general. So let's have a look. On second thought, I don't actually want that clip, so I'm just going to delete that one. Another thing I've done is I've mapped all my hotkeys to my left hand, so in the bottom left I've installed this little program that tells you what I'm clicking here. So basically I've set up select a clip to D. I think that might be default. S is delete. Control Z that. That way I can do everything. If you look at your keyboard, you're doing everything with your left hand. You never have to reach over all the way over to the delete key, which is on the other side of the keyboard. So it's just very handy, and then you can do stuff like ripple deletes and that kind of stuff. Just generally kind of increase your workflow. Yeah, I've set up deselect clip to Z, which I find very helpful, so I can go DZ, DZ, and that's basically it. So the numbers that are coming up there are my zoom in and outs. 4 is zoom out, 5 is zoom in. When I'm scrubbing like this, I can click shift and just automatically snap to the end of the timeline. So that's what I generally do when I'm about to import another clip. I've got my clip right at the end there, and then I come up to my project window, and when I see a bit I want, like right there, I can just select my in, and just before it gets wonky I'll select my out, click the dot key, period key, and it'll just drop that clip down here, so you can see what I've just done. So by clicking dot, now that clip 77 is down there, and you can watch that back. So all this footage is actually filmed in a high frame rate, so I've got all my frame rates here, so that's 50, 50, 100, 100. And the other thing I do is I label my different formats, different colors. So I know that all my 50 frames, for instance, are this light blue color, and they come down the timeline in that light blue. By setting the color up here, as soon as I get down to the timeline, they're already labeled. So I can already tell that this stuff's my 4K footage right here, the purple stuff, and so on. The orange stuff is my 100 frames per second footage. All right, let's, yeah, I'll just keep working on this and talk as I go. So right there, I know I'm going to slow that clip down just because I know it's going to look better. So just show you before and after. That's it not slowed down by clicking Control R. That's what you do to change the speed. And because it's 50 frames and I'm slowing it to 25, it's just 50% there. And now that clip's doubled in length, but it's also twice as slow. And I know I don't want the start because the movement's just not really there. So in order to trim that start bit really quickly, I just hit the Q key. And if I wanted to trim the end, I click the W key. And what that does is basically, it's easy to remember because Q's on the left, W's on the right. Q will just literally trim that and then move that over by doing that action, but it's a lot quicker just by clicking Q or W. And that's basically how I edit. I keep everything right on the same track number, so V1, and that way when you start to stack and do all this when you start to stack and do all this type of stuff, you'll notice these Q's and W's start to get a bit confusing with what you're cutting up because it's trying to do it to 2 layers at the same time. So just for my selects, I like to keep it real simple, keep everything on the same track. It's very easy to keep track of. Alright, let's just move on. Again, these footage, these clips, probably not going to make the final edit, but I know it's usable footage, so now I've got it in this selects, and I can always whittle it down. So from this selects sequence, I'll duplicate it, which will leave all the files there in the old selects folder safe and sound, but I've got a new sequence which I'll call, say, rough cut or something like that. And then that's when I start to really just get the footage that I want, the best of the best basically. And just say this video might end up being about 15 minutes long when I've done all my selects. The rough cut might be, say, 8 minutes long, and then I'll fine tune that, and then I'll slowly start to find my my final edit. And that I just found that's the absolute best way to do it, because you always have those selects to go back to. It's the quickest way because it's pretty tough just from the opening. I'm only 70 clips in. It's hard to know what I do and don't want in this edit. I don't know how much footage I've got down here. I don't know how much footage I've got up here. So it's good to just lay it all out, see exactly what you have, and then cut it back from there. But that's enough talking, so let's keep going. So there's a sunset shot. Obviously won't use a start where it's shaky. Come in there maybe. No, there's a bit more shake, so I'll come in a bit later. And just watching that back, there's no real smooth footage. So right away, I know the only way this shot's going to be usable is if I slow it down. So to do that, I've got two options. I can go Control R up here in the top left and do the same speed setting that you do down in the timeline, which will slow that down, and now this clip's twice as slow. Or a method I prefer is to go interpret footage. So you go right click, modify, interpret footage, and then you change the frame rate from 50 to assume the frame rate of 25, and you can type that in. So basically this is the best way to do it if you've got really confusing frame rates. Say like you might have filmed it at 48 frames and then you got output to 25 frames or something, and the numbers just don't add up. Premiere likes to work in multiples, so anything with the multiple of 25 is perfect for me. 150, 150, 200 all go into 25, which is very helpful when you're for Premiere when it's trying to slow the footage down. If you've got confusing numbers that don't go into each other, then what Premiere has to do is start to interpret frames, and it will actually interpret frames and kind of give Premiere this choppy look, because the frames you're using that you originally filmed aren't actually going into the video. It's having to make its own frames in order to put it in there, if that makes any sense. So what I'm going to do is go assume frame rate to 25, and now I know it's changed here as well in my project window to 25, and now when I play that back, it'll be the same as slowing it down. But this way I know that it's 25 frames. It just seems to play smoother like this as well. Premiere has to do less kind of computing on its part, because it doesn't have to remember, oh, I got to slow the clip down. It's just interpreted that footage that way. So now it'll always play back at 25 frames, which is perfect for my sequence settings, because I'm in Australia and all our stuff is, if I go to sequence settings, at 25 frames. I export everything I do in 25 frames. Yep, so watching this clip back, even though it's still shaky, I think it might be usable now. I'm just kind of looking for a smooth bit, but maybe a bit here at the start. About there, that's good enough, right? It's still probably too shaky for my liking, I'd say. But what I'm going to do, if I just trim this down, and then come over to here and type in warp, I'm going to apply warp stabilizer. It's quicker just to double click it, and now that warp stabilizer is being applied. That's just going to analyze for a sec. And you'll notice as well, because I've interpreted the footage up here to 25 frames, if I had have just used a 50 frame clip, like I'll use this as an example, 50 frame clip, and I'll try to apply a warp stabilizer. Oh, it worked. Sometimes you get an error saying the frame rate doesn't match. I think they might have fixed it in this latest update. And if that does happen, all you have to do is basically just nest your footage. So you just go right click nest, and it'll create a nested sequence, and then you can apply your effect to that, and it should work fine. But anyway, so that's I've confused Premiere here, so I'm going to have to click analyze. But that's the kind of thing I just let happen in the background, because I know eventually I'm going to want a warp stabilizer on that clip, but I don't have to sit here and watch it render. So in the meantime, I'm just getting my select, so I'm trying to be as quick as possible. I'm just going to move on to the next clip. So here we just have a clip of the boys sitting on the beach. So there's a couple bits I like of that. I like the start. I don't really like that part. Alright, I don't really like that clip in general, to be honest. But you never know. As soon as you slow a clip down, sometimes you see an element of the clip that you didn't see before that you really do like. So now I've just slowed it down. I did the interpret technique again. And I've kind of seen that just when he turns, I don't mind that as an action. I don't like that, so I'm going to leave that go. I'm going to come in here. Might just use that bit. And again, I don't really like this clip, but it's got to go into my selects, because you never know when I want that shot. Maybe down the future that shot's just the perfect thing I need for the edit, and I don't want to have to be coming back up to the project window to look for it. Now I've just got it all laid out. Alright, now we're getting onto 100 frames per second clip. So this one I'm almost certainly going to slow down, because 100 frames looks fabulous on this camera, A7S Mark II I'm using. Or even though, so here's an interesting bit. So I like this bit in full speed, because it's a good little focus pull to gas. So what I'm going to do is I want that to be in normal speed, but I want the rest of the clip to be in slow. So what I'm going to do is just duplicate. So Control Shift, is it /? So that's duplicated the clip. I've got two clip 80s now, and one of them I'm going to do the old interpret footage to 25. So this is going to be my slow clip. If I play this one back, there's going to be some good bits in this, I think. Yeah, so good smiles and stuff there. Don't like it when he looks at the camera, but I'll actually make this a bit bigger for you guys. There's no point having that small. So there's a lot there I like. I'm just going to chuck it all down. That's very long for a clip, but it's 100 frames, so it's going to be that long. And then I do also like this. I do like that movement down. So I might actually prefer this in 25 frames, which is basically a quarter of the speed that it was originally filmed at. I don't know what kind of level people watching are going to be in terms of advancedness, but I'm just going to try just talk through everything, and hopefully you can follow along. Even if you are just starting out, all this stuff's you're going to learn eventually, right? So it's all just kind of helpful background knowledge to get. And while this tutorial might be a bit too advanced for a beginner, it's at least you'll know all the terms and you'll be kind of familiar with what you've got going on. So there's a lot of good bits that I could choose from in this clip. It's important to not get too overwhelmed, but there's a good simple bit right there, so I might just use that bit. And I'm actually going to forget what I said about duplicating the video and using the full speed clip, just because the slow-mo is too good. It just looks too good. So the other thing is, this is a pretty flat profile I shot in, so sometimes when I'm editing, I'll just put a sample adjustment layer on this, so that way I can see our stuff's looking pretty much straight away. And while this doesn't have to be too fancy or anything, this adjustment layer can just sit there. I'll jump over to Lumetri. I'll come to a good clip. And what this Lumetri is just going to do is just going to add some contrast and a bit of saturation. So I know a little bit closer what my final thing's going to look. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a faded film look, so I'll just pop that on for now. And yeah, I can't really dictate the highlights or the shadows because there's such a range of clips that are going to be under here. Like I've got, you know, very light clips, sunset clips, all the rest. So I'm just going to, all I need to do is add some saturation and some contrast, because that's what was originally lacking. This isn't actually S-Log 3. I shot this in a just a kind of standard picture profile on the A7S II. Alright, another important thing that I do that I don't think is common but is so helpful. So up here in your project window, I've just full screened it. You've got all your different frame rates and all this different metadata. A lot of it I find not that important, except probably frame rate. Now that I've got the A7S II, I'm shooting a bunch of different frame sizes as well, so that's become a bit more important. So I should put that over next to it, which I've just done. And this video usage is the absolute best thing I've learned about the project window. So it doesn't come as default, so I've added it myself. And you do that by right-clicking metadata display at the top here. Right-click and then metadata display. And you just want to type in video usage, and it's this one here, and I've just selected it. And basically what it tells you is how many times you've used a clip in your project, basically. Just anywhere in the project, how many times it's been used. So that's super helpful when you get a bunch of sequences and you know basically how many times it's been used all up in your project. But even more important, if I had to just open this project today and I didn't know where I was up to, I'd have to rewatch. I'd have to come down and go, have I put 78 in yet? I'd come down to my timeline and I'd go, all right, I'm up to clip 80. I would have no idea, but just at a glance I can see I've used up to clip 80 and I'm on 81 just as I make my way down this project window. So I can see exactly where I'm up to, which clips I've used, because I always work in a chronological order. I always, you know, the clips I shoot first I put in first, and yeah, and just go down from there. But just at a glance I can see how many times I've used a clip, and that's awesome. See, if you switch to the other view mode, which is your other option for project window, which is these thumbnails, you do get this nice little blue symbol which tells you you've used a clip, and that was great, but I much prefer I find it much quicker to load clips up this way in this view. I'm not sure what it's called. It's called list view. I find it much quicker to see all my clips, and now this way I can see the clips I've used straight away, just at a glance, which is perfect. Alright, let's get back to editing. I'm not getting a lot done here. Alright, it's just kind of locked up on me a bit. There we go. I think that's my my project locking up a bit. So here we have what looks like a really nice shot. I'll just play it back. This is 100 frames clip, so we're going to slow it right down. But right there, that already looks like an epic clip, I'd say. But let's see how good it gets when we use our old interpret footage. Down to 25, quarter speed. And obviously we won't use that legs bit. But there's Az Gallagher himself looking mighty fine. It's not quite in focus yet, so I'm going to see if I can get a better segment where it just comes into focus. Yeah, so you could use that focus pull in slow motion. Right about there. Kind of comes in. He's not moving a lot, so it seems it's a bit of a boring shot at the moment, but it'd be nice if there was a bit of movement that comes in, just to make it a bit more dynamic. There we have a blink, not much to go on, but... Alright, so I've spotted another bit at the end. So we've got this start bit with the focus pull, which is one option for the clip. Let's go there. And that's alright. We'll chuck that down, just because we're not being too fussy with our selects. And then the other bit I liked was a bird came over and there's a bit of movement in the camera. With the slow-mo shots, you always need a bit of movement, otherwise you're just looking at a static image basically. So we'll come in about there and we chuck that down as well. And just out of curiosity, I might just duplicate that clip again like I did last time and use the original frame rate. I just want to watch this back and see how it is at full speed. Here we go. Yeah, so I'm not going to use any of that, I don't think. Yeah, so I'm just going to delete that again. That's S. Very quick. Much quicker than reaching over and clicking delete. Alright. But here we have another clip, so this clip might be better altogether, which I would say it's going to be, just judging off the fact that he's actually doing something this time. Again, we're going to slow it down, just because I shot it that way. And I'm just going to use the L and LJ and K keys. L is for fast forward, so you can shuttle forward, and then just K is to slow it down again. So let's watch this back. So it's pretty dramatic look at the camera there. So yeah, that's interesting. I might put it in. I doubt I'll put it in the edit. I'm not really going for that vibe, but a smile and a laugh's always good. Always good to go for that. Bit of a weird look there. Don't know if I'd put that in. It's a bit a little bit cheesy going for the cheers. I do really like this shot. Just wish it had a bit more to it. Maybe I will end up using this little look. So I'm just going to go back and overwrite my last one because I added a bit to the start of that. Alright, there we have a seagull. This is 100 frames. Not a great shot, but let's have a look what we can do with it. Just coming back again. That's kind of cool with the slow-mo bird coming past. That's about as much as I'll get out of that one, I think. Just to speed through, that's the L key again. And dot, and I'm just using dot every time I want to put it down. The two options with the, to get it from your in and out point up here down to your timeline, you can either use the period or the dash. I'll show you the difference in what they do. The dash will actually insert it and move everything down to the right, like you can see this clip just did. Or if I use the dot key, it'll just override it. So if I come back here, click the dot key, I've just overwritten that clip, which I don't generally want to do. So that's why I use the period key if there's anything in front of it, but because there's nothing in front of it, I'm just using the dot key. Either one would work. Alright, here we have Aaron again dancing. Again, 100 frames, so this could be quite interesting. If I could film it properly. So basically I'll tell you a bit about the trip that we're doing. Basically just out to an island off the Great Barrier Reef, about 6 hours off Gladstone, and yeah, it's basically just, you don't bring anything with you. You just bring your your tent, your bit of food for the 2 weeks we were there. You bring a big barrel of water when you get off the barge. You roll that up with you, and that's about it. Anything could happen on the island. There's no phone reception or anything like that. The only way off is when the barge comes and picks you up in 2 weeks. So it's just an epic little escape for sure. I'm going to slow this guy down. So sorry I'm not being as fluent as I possibly could be, but this is just my first time doing this, so yeah, I guess there'll be a bit of a learning curve to it, but I hope you can still get something out of it. Just kind of sharing what I know. I'm loving this new camera though. I'm getting some epic stuff that I couldn't have been able to get on my old Canon 7D was what I was using before this guy. I'm using Canon glass on it though, so I'm using a Metabones adapter to get that on there, and I'm not a fan of the whole setup. With the Metabones lens on there, it adds about 4 kilos to the lens, it feels, and it's not as durable, I feel, as the Canons were. So I'm kind of struggling with that a bit, but yeah, the actual image itself is fantastic. So this is pretty cool. I'll just chuck that down as well. Like I said, you never know what you're going to need. I might try to find a better hotkey program. This isn't really coming up how I would like it to. But you can, I guess, if you ever like watching and you can go, oh, what do you click there? You can just kind of work it out as the I and the O's, and you can kind of piece it together. Most of the shortcuts actually are default, but I've worked in a few good ones that I think are just really, really key. I'll get to them later. They more come in at the editing part of it. So I'm taking so long in this clip, I just don't want to miss anything. I know this is, I can almost guarantee this clip's going to go in the final edit, so I just want to get the best of it. It's annoying that I keep changing aperture, and I feel like I'm too busy trying to set up the shot and not actually getting it. God, he's a dickhead, eh? There we go. So we're just adding all these little cool movements. There's another one. Add that in. Can't use that because of exposure change. Good one, Tom. But yeah, it feels like cheating when you're shooting in a location like this. Everywhere you point the camera looks fantastic. Also, doing this tutorial, I'm not concentrating as much as I say normally would. So sorry about that, just cut out on me. All I was saying there was, normally these tutorials, I'm not concentrating as much as, say, I normally would. So I'm just being very liberal with my selects, because I just want to be making sure I get the best. And I'm not sure if I said this last time or not, but it's because when I edit, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and so that means I basically always need to make sure I'm getting the best shot, and all the rest of it. So it can be a bad thing. it can be a good thing, but more often than not, it's a bad thing because it takes about 2 months to edit a video like this. And then from there, I just went on to the next clip and slowed it down. And I'll just check that down. Next clip. So almost all these shots will be in slow-mo, I'd say, because it just makes them more interesting. Like, this isn't a great shot. Might not even put this in my selects. I don't think I will. Gonna move on. Alright, everyone's getting up and dancing. Alright, again, I think we're just going to go with something like this. And I'll put it down there, and that's almost certainly going to be in slow-mo. Alright. And we'll use that bit. Cool. Here we have 100 frames per second clip. So again, if you watch that, you would say that was pretty average footage. But I always like to have a look, because a shot like this, that's pretty abstract. I don't know. Probably won't use that. That's not very good. But something like that. Again, that's not great because it's out of focus, I'd say. But you never know what you could use out of this. Like, oh, some of that's epic. Just with a bit of smooth motion there. Pop that down as well. Anyway, that's not great footage. Alright. Loving the 100 frame stuff here. So Kai Dancing is the other one's brother. So that's Aaron's brother there. Definitely runs in the family there. Alright, I'm just going to use it that bit because I like the way the fabric of his shirt moves. Just before he starts dancing. It's the kind of thing, if you watch it without music, this stuff all looks ridiculous, but as soon as I add music to this video, it kind of makes sense that they're dancing, even though it doesn't really, it just looks a bit weird right now, right? It's kind of the case with all these kind of highlight videos. They're a highlight of what's happening, not necessarily the actual reality of what it was like at the time. Again, we have some average footage there, but we'll slow it down, see what we can get out of it. Want to hear from you guys, so I'll probably be doing another one of these in the future with a more advanced part of this edit, just because this is probably the most boring part, right? It's just selecting footage that's usable. So yeah, I'd like to do another one in the future. But if you could let me know what you want to see. Kind of getting the stage with my editing where I feel very comfortable in the program, and I feel like I pretty much know the program back to front. You never know the whole program, but I feel like I know a good majority of it. And if there's anything that you're stuck on or anything, or just if you have any questions about my workflow, I can do a video on it for sure. Can't remember if I used that clip, and I did. So I'm going to move on. Just hold the shift key, and then it's going to snap me to the end of that timeline. I've got a bunch of other stuff I was editing around here before. I'm just going to move that all right down because I'm slowly approaching it. And again, I can just watch this footage with a bit of just that half grade I did on it. Just looks a bit nicer. Anyway, I would be interested in making a future video on editing, just because I've set up a bunch of, I feel like I've kind of developed my own system for editing a bit, just with some hotkeys I've set up, and it's really, really quick. And I'd just love to kind of vocalize that and walk people through it. Just because I think it could benefit a lot of people. I see even at work, so I work with a team of editors that pretty much do it full time, and if I watch their editing workflow, they're still using just the mouse for everything. So every time they want to move a clip over, they move it with their hand and then put it up one, and then they might trim this clip a bit, and then they'll move this one in, and then all that kind of stuff that just isn't so much quicker doing it by keyboard. So just by like ripple deleting and stuff like that, zooming in and out, not reaching over to your minus and plus keys, which are again on the other side of the keyboard, all saves a lot of time. So I literally haven't moved my left hand this whole episode, and yet I've been using hotkeys non-stop. And if you think about it, if you were to watch a competitive gamer or something like that, in one of those, I'm not sure what they're called, like League of Legends or something like that, they use is hotkeys, and there's good reason for that. You just, no matter how good you get with the mouse, you can't be as precise and as quick as clicking a button. So yeah, might just leave it at that. I know we didn't get a lot done because I was mostly talking, but this was a bit of a practice for things to come. So I don't know, doubt this is going to get many viewers, but it's an interesting thing to put out there, and if it does get a few viewers, let me know what you think and what you want to see, because I feel like I've got a bit of knowledge to share, so be keen to do that. And let me know what you think, and if you want to see more of this edit, I know it was a bit interesting with just people dancing around and stuff like that, but there's a lot more interesting stuff to come. We've got this is just the A7S folder. We've got GoPro footage, we've got underwater footage, swimming with sharks. It's going to be an interesting one. Got Nick Cummins himself. So give you a quick little sample. What do we have here? Not too interesting, just boat stuff. Time lapse. More time lapse. I was out in the kayak. Freddie Wags. That thing. Lots of good memories here. We did this trip about 6 months ago, and it's pretty cool watching through this. But yeah, I can't find anything too interesting just now, but I'll leave it there. I promise you more interesting things to come. Alright, over and out.